What is up, peeps? It's your favorite messy-haired Bulgarian back at it again. What is up, peeps?
It's your favorite Bulgarian. It's your favorite Bulgarian.
This is your favorite Bulgarian! Back at it again!
Back at it again.
Back at it again.
Back at it again!
Back at it again. It's your favorite Bulgarian. Back at it again.
Back at it again. My hair is getting really long. What I'm planning to do with it, I want to do like a man bun. I've never done the man bun. I've never had the patience to let my hair grow out that long so I can do a man bun. But this time, it's getting there. It's getting there, you know, like I feel like I need around a month more or something, and then my hair is gonna be man bun ready. But today's video is not about my future man bun. Today's video is about why women are not capable of loving a man the way a man wants to be loved. And what do I mean by this? You guys probably have never heard of the term hypergamy, or I pronounce it as hypergamy. I think there's other ways to pronounce it as well, but or hypergamy. That's another way to pronounce it, but you've probably never heard of that term. And it's a term that social psychologists use, apparently. And it basically means that women marry up and men marry down. That's like the whole general thing of it. And what that also means, with me and Dave Lee, we talk about it for maybe 20-30 minutes in this video that you guys are going to watch, but I'm just giving an intro to this whole video, because if you don't know about this term, which you probably don't, because this term is for people who are either studying social psychology, relationships, dating. It's a massive thing in the pickup and PUA community, you know, the pickup artists. So if you're a man, a guy watching this video, and you're not proactively looking for knowledge or ways you can better yourself as a man and get more knowledge in that field and actually understand women and have better success with women, if you're not on that path and you're just an average guy, you won't know about this term. And if you listen to what we talk about in this video, and if you don't believe it, you can do your own research on hypergamy and what it actually is. But it's a it's a hard pill to swallow, you know. It's definitely a hard pill to swallow. And I can look back at a time where, you know, I was in high school and I wasn't really jacked, or I didn't have my confidence that up, etc. And no girl really liked me because I was low social status. I didn't look very much, you know. Your looks and your characteristics, they all come in play of where women perceivably put you in the social ladder. You know, how popular you are, how many girls you have around you or talking about you, how many guy friends, you know, you have looking up to you, etc. Everything, like, are you the leader of your group, of your friend group that you have? You know, every friend group has a leader. All of those things come into play when a girl is choosing you, and it's just the harsh reality of things, you know. Like, women will never love you the way that you want to be loved, and they will always, without a doubt, will choose the man who is the most alpha, the highest in the social ladder in her field of people that she knows. If she knows 200 men, out of those 200 men, she's gonna pick the one who's the most capable in the field of social status or money, wealth, alpha. Like, she's never gonna go for the one who's lower social status, lower wealth, just because they have a vibe or just because they get along. She's never gonna do that. And it's not that women are evil. It's just hardwired into their brain and into the way that they are. They always are gonna go for the alpha, and that's why in the past when we used to live in tribes or kings and queens, whatever, before modern society, it was normal for men to have multiple wives because you're an alpha in your tribe or in your village, and there's, let's say, okay, there's a tribe of 150 people, yeah. Out of those 150 people, there's 75 men and 75 women. Out of those 75 men, there's probably only about 15 or 10 alpha males. And women, if they can choose either the alpha or the beta, of course they're gonna go for the alpha. This whole thing of men should have only one girlfriend or whatever it is, I think my theory is, this is my own theory. I haven't read it anywhere. Maybe it's out there somewhere, but I haven't read it. I think that it was orchestrated by beta males, because it's the beta males who slut shame. It's the beta males who call girls whores and sluts, and it's the beta males who don't understand women, and they're mad at women for the way that they behave. And it's also the beta women that are mad at the males, the way that they behave, because they don't understand them, and the whole thing's a mess basically. So what you can do is start learning more about yourself and more about the opposite sex, and you can start by learning by first watching this video, because hypergamy is a thing. It's a fact. I'm not making this up. It's an actual thing. Go research it after the video if you want, but basically remember it, because you will need it in your life. And every time that things don't work out with a girl, with a woman, you can trace it back to maybe you weren't acting high status enough, because there is no such I'm not gonna go on a rant, this is for another video, but really quickly, there is no such thing as a social status. Like, we don't rank people, it's the perceived status of a person, because a person with a high social status and a person who's an alpha male has specific characteristics, specific vibe to them, the way that they act. And when we're around that type of person, we're like, oh, that person must be high social status because he acts this way, he talks this way, da 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 da. When all of these things are filled up, we put them in the category of high social status person. Whereas if a person doesn't act in all of these ways, he's a low social status person. And women know that, because women are freaking geniuses when it comes to social interactions, because the part of their brain that's responsible for social interactions and reading eyes and reading body language and vocal tonality and everything is much more developed than the men's. That's why women can sense a vibe and everything, and women are freaking ninjas when it comes to social interactions, okay? And yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you do like it. Leave a comment if you're confused, because I was very confused and I was a bit bitter actually the first time that I found out about this. But anyways, enjoy the video guys, and as always, your favorite Bulgarian out. What is up peeps? It's your favorite Bulgarian back at it again, and today I'm here with Dave Lee, the man, the legend. He's actually a dating and pickup coach from Australia. We got in touch because we're both in this Facebook group where there's a lots of people who are into pickup and game, and we were invited in a separate group chat where there are lots of pickup and game coaches. That's how he got in contact with me. He was like, hey bro, I think we should really do a video together. We talked for a bit, and then we came to the topic that we want to do, which is hypergamy. I know you guys probably don't know what hypergamy is. I have a little understanding and concept of what hypergamy is for myself, but from my understanding and from having talked with Dave, I think he's the man to explain what hypergamy is and how it affects us in our lives and with our dating as men. So that's why we have him here today. He's going to explain to us what hypergamy is and how us better understanding it will help us in our dating lives. Dave, take on the show.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. but yeah, we've discussed hypergamy, and it's thought that that would be a great topic to talk about, and it is. It really is. Uh, the basic understanding of hypergamy, I haven't got out my dictionary. I probably should have got out the dictionary to explain it, but uh, it's basically that women will always look for a better man continuously for most of their lives, unless they have pair bonded with you. So, for instance, this is part of the reason why a lot of men they prefer virgins, because a virgin is more likely to pair bond with a man, um, but a woman quite often, as she progresses through life, is always looking to, as a lot of guys in the manosphere call it, uh, branch jumping. They're always jumping to the next best thing. And that's the basic understanding of hypergamy, is that if your girl, no matter how much you love her, there's a good chance that if someone comes along that is better than you, he might take your girl if he's dedicated to try and do that.
Yeah. So
Mm.
basically, this whole understanding of soulmates, this whole understanding of, oh, she's with me because we're a good match and we just kind of like get each other and we're a good fit for each other, doesn't really exist when you look things from hypergamy's perspective, which is actually she's with you because from all of the men that she knows closely, you are the one who has the highest value in her eyes in that situation. But
Mm.
if she gets exposed enough to a man who has higher value than you, or if for whatever reason you as a man drop your value, let's say you're going through a hard time and you're not being the man anymore, or you're being whipped, or you're actually giving your man pants to her for whatever reason, then you're losing your value, and that's where hypergamy comes in. And if she sees that someone is a better option for her without any remorse, she will go to that man.
Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned a few things there, which I think are very valuable. Is uh, there is a male to female dynamic that is constantly being played out, and you always are in a power struggle with the woman. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. As you just said, wearing the man pants. If she takes your pants and she starts running the show and she's the boss, she starts to lose respect for you and starts to look for a man who is going to take the pants from her and control and run the show. One good example of that would be my grandfather and grandmother. My grandfather was old school European boss. He never took shit from anybody, especially my grandmother. And he always, even in their late 70s, was constantly putting her in her place, to assert his dominance within the relationship forever. It was a constant battle that you can never stop. And that's why when guys like you and me, we discuss dating and pick up. It's not just about techniques and strategies. It's you need to have your career in order. You need to have your education. You need to hit the gym. You need to have your finances. You need to have everything in order so that you can always be on top of your game, because you are always competing, and it's a dog eat dog world out there, and that's part of this hypergamy. You need to continuously improve yourself.
Yeah. And a guy or someone who might just realize what hypergamy is and how it plays a role might think to themselves, oh my god, I always have to compete, I always have to improve, or I'll lose her, oh my god, I always have to watch out for other guys or I'll lose her. They might freak out a bit. They're like, well, why do I have to always try to assert myself? Well, why do I always have to fight with someone just to be, that sounds really harsh. But that's the reality of the things. in a relationship, it doesn't matter if it's an intimate one or a friendship, there always has to be someone who has the upper hand, who has, more power. There's always a power dynamic. And
Mm,
in a man to woman relationship, the man has to have the upper hand, is just how things are. That's the
mm,
masculine energy. And if we branch out a bit from the topic of hypergamy, there's masculine and there's feminine. Masculine is, strong power, leader, assertiveness. And the feminine, she wants to nurture, she wants to follow. You have to be the masculine and she has to be the feminine, but for whatever reason you're not able to do that. If you're not able to do that, if you're not able to have the masculine role and embrace it, well, then she's going to find someone else who is able to
mm,
embrace that in a better way than that you are. And that's how, hypergamy plays out. And knowing these dynamics at first and realizing that this dynamic has a play might freak you out a bit, because it definitely will if it's something you were not aware of. But you have to be aware of this if you want to have a good and healthy relationship. Because um, I'm gonna say something, and tell me if you agree with this, and if it's the way that I'm
yeah.
gonna say it. It's like, for people who don't understand hypergamy, and guys who don't understand hypergamy and these dynamics in general, and try to have this balance in the relationship where everybody has a say, everything is level, my power is on the level of her, etc., etc. This doesn't really work the way that they want it to work. Like, everybody has a role that they have to play. Like, you have to be the man and she has to be the woman. So this means that you have to be responsible for where the relationship goes. You have to be responsible for, where you guys as a whole are going. Like, you are the one who's calling the shots. That's your role as a man. If you give that role
Mm,
to her, then your relationship starts to deteriorate, because
that's
she
good.
wants to
Yeah.
trust you, she wants you to take role, she wants you to be the leader. She doesn't want to be the leader. She will be the leader if she has to. And that's where you can see relationships such as guys being whipped and the women being the one in control, and she's unhappy and she's nagging all the time because she has lost faith in her man, etc. And we can go down this rabbit hole. But yeah, I think I I think I went a bit little ranty over here. But
Yeah, you covered a few. You covered a few things there. The first one was men can look at this in a negative light. They can be nihilistic when it comes to looking at hypergamy, and I don't see it as something that men should really stress about. I don't think it's something that men should really see in a negative light. If anything, see it as something that is pushing you to become a better man. Uh, it's motivation to improve yourself. So I wouldn't take it all red pill and go all nihilistic looking at hypergamy. And then you just started to talk about the male and female uh, dynamic that plays out, male polarity versus female polarity. And women, you'll notice, are far more happy when they are quiet and they're being led by a strong man. And you'll notice that. You see it all the time. They're the most happiest when the man's calling the shots and he's like, we're going here, we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do it. This is why we're going to do it. She's like, okay, let's just go along. And
yeah,
and that's when they're, to an extent, at their most happiest. You'll notice that if you go out on a date, and uh, some guys, they make this mistake where they'll go out on a date and they'll say, oh, what would you like for dinner? How would you like it done? And the girl's like, I don't know. Girls are not very good at making decisions. You notice that. Vast majority of my last girlfriend had a PhD and was a scientist, very intelligent girl. The last thing she wanted me to do was ask her for decisions. I just led all the time. It's not because she was unintelligent or not able to lead. It's more the male and female polarity. And then, of course, those 2 points is not to be nihilistic about this, you know.
Yeah.
Then I'd also like to mention another thing is how I first discovered hypergamy. I didn't even know what it was, but my my mum divorced with my father when I was really young, and I have two aunties, and both the aunties had daughters. So I've got a sister, my mum, my grandmother, two two aunties. One had two daughters, two cousins, and another one had another daughter. I was literally surrounded by all these
Women.
crazy women. And they're all kind of hot, bitchy women too. So like the worst type to grow up with. And whenever they would discuss men, it was never really his personality or what he did, his hobbies, anything like that. It was uh, his title at work. That was pretty much it. Oh, I'm dating the bartender today, or I'm going on a date with the doctor, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or
This
the
is
lawyer.
this is hypergamy in play, and women don't even think about it. They don't even realize what they're saying. That's just how they think, because to an extent, they need to focus on making sure that if they get pregnant, that the man is going to be able to pay and put a roof over her head and keep the child safe, and the child's going to be able to grow up and survive. And they use whatever modern ways to categorize a man that they think is most important. And job title equals money, equals a roof over the head, equals food, means that the child should be able to survive. And that's something that is embedded in women. And we know that women are more, they're more emotional. They think about things from they don't really think in a logical way like men. They're more like, they don't really think about their own emotions too much. They're more spontaneous, and they think through their emotions, which means that they're less likely to have self-awareness. Uh, and this is just something that's built into them.
Mhm.
And so they're less likely to think about it. But if you hang around enough women and grow up with them like I did, it's something that you will notice. Very obvious to me when I was just observing them,
And
if that makes sense.
yeah, and it's also really interesting how, you say they think of it, as titles like, oh, I'm dating the lawyer, I'm dating, the bartender or whatever. And they think of it as, like roof overhead and money, etc. And what that ultimately means is that they're not thinking, at least logically, as of a man, as the person who he is, but they're thinking of him as to what he can offer to her, whether it be money, protection, emotions, whatever it is, where most men don't see the relationship or the attraction in that way. They think, oh, she likes me because of me, that's like the saddest thing a man can realize. At least one of the saddest things at first is that a woman can never actually like us or love us the way that we want to be liked or loved, because
Mm,
that will just never ever happen. And some people even say like the men are the true romantic, because we don't view women as these things that we can leech value from, or that they will help us climb the social ladder or whatever it is. We view them as who they are, whereas they mostly view us as this
mm,
thing that they can use to climb the social ladder, or has the highest value, or can provide the best money or the best protection for their children at this moment with the men that they know now. And there's also one thing that I want to touch is, they don't only view us in our current state, they also view us as the value promise that we have for the future. And that's why, a woman can choose you over, let's say you're a bartender, let's say, I'm a bartender, and this woman is dating me and she's also dating a lawyer, but the lawyer lacks passion, he lacks energy, he lacks excitement, and she sees that I'm passionate and exciting and interesting and I have all of this energy for whatever reason. So in her head, I have more of a promise for future value. So let's say in her head that my
Yeah.
future value in her head is more than what the lawyer offers now. So she will actually prefer me over to the lawyer, which is really interesting. But if I fail to deliver on this promise, she will hate me and she will probably, and that's why divorces happen, because the woman saw a promise in the man which he was not able to deliver for whatever reason, and then the woman got vengeful and hateful, and then she found someone else and then she left him, etc., etc. So hypergamy, we can use it in our own advantage. Like, we can understand why it happens, we can be aware of it, we can like not judge it. But if you are not aware of this whole dynamic, that it's actually going on, you can really suffer from this.
Yeah, so I guess when you're talking about promise, yeah, it's the promise of future success, and that's why I guess Jordan Peterson actually talked about this at one stage, where he was talking about how some women will choose to date a poor busking musician because they actually see that he could have a future. He could be he's talented now, and if only he gets a break, he could become a superstar. And so they hang around hoping that he becomes a superstar, where 99.9% of them don't. But that's just what she deemed to be a gauge of future success. Another one is if you go out and you just wear a suit and look all professional, you're probably more likely to get a girl really fast by just looking like you are someone that is a professional and has a future. And it depends on the girl and how she's thinking. So, for instance, gauges on what is a successful man. So, just say you go to a third world country, just say Asia somewhere, their gauge of success would be guys that look like you and me with white skin, because they're not worldly enough. They don't know enough about the world. All they think is, okay, white skin means American and US dollars, so therefore he's richer than most men. It's a real simple way to gauge the world. The same way Western women in our countries, they look for promise. They look to buy a cheap rookie that might become a superstar, or they look for a guy with a good profession. And one thing is a personal story which I'd like to share with you guys, so that you can have a real life example of hypergamy. Now, my mum, she married my father, and they got divorced when I was like 1 year old. He was he was training to become an electrician, right? So like a blue collar type worker. After him, my mum married a mechanic that came from a wealthy family and had a house, and so I went and lived there. And he was an alcoholic, but he was still had more money than my father, so it was a step up. You see,
Yeah.
he had a house, he had a boat, and he lived in a wealthy area. And then she got divorced to him, and then she upgraded again on her third marriage. She's an absolute nightmare of a woman, but she married a guy who has a PhD, and he's one of Australia's richest men. He's so much money you have no idea. She's living in a mansion on the waterfront right now. That's hypergamy at play. She's literally just looking for money. And not all women are like that, but some are.
I mean, hypergamy is a dynamic that's there whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you know, but the gauge, like you said, might be different. You know, like some women might value money and material things more. Other might value, let's say, family relationships. Another woman might value something else. But hypergamy as a concept, that the woman is always looking for a man who can offer her something better than what other men can offer her, is the reality of things. Um,
Yeah,
that's just
so
the reality.
and it changes too. So for instance, I've seen a lot of girls that if I go to say some third world Asian country, right? I can literally be unemployed, homeless, and not shower. But if I look like this, they're gonna just go ching ching money, and they're gonna fall in love with me. But if I grab that same third world girl and bring her to my first world country, literally within a few months, her gauge of what type of man she should be aiming for is going to go higher because it is all relative to what men are around her. So she can literally go from third world country where she's literally like living in dirt, and then you can bring her to a first world country and surround her with millionaires, and she will still want the best millionaire out of whatever. It's all relative to her.
Yeah.
And that's another part of hypergamy that you guys need to be aware of is, um, if you're picking a wing to go out in the nightclub with, maybe pick a fat one. Maybe pick one that's a little bit less attractive than you, or pick one that's generous. And he's good at hooking the girls, but he makes sure that he palms off some to you. You know, he's not selfish and takes all the girls, because hypergamy is a real thing. You know.
So how can people who are just finding about hypergamy, or who don't really know what to make of all of this, you know, like hypergamy, women always go for the best, etc. How should they use this knowledge to actually affect their lives for the better?
Okay, well, firstly, know that it's a real thing, and don't look at it with a negative point of view. Use it to make sure that you work on your education, work on your finances, work on your career, make sure you have like a good family and social circle, things like that. Hit the gym, make sure that you have all of these things in place and that you are improving yourself. Pickup is self-improvement at its core. It's literally one of the most valuable things. Like if I you were to come to me and want to do a boot camp, I can do a boot camp and teach guys how to, you know, pick up girls. But if you are overweight, unemployed, you don't shower, you struggle with all these other aspects, I will probably give you a regime to fix all those things so that you can step up to the next level. That's very, very, very important. And another factor, so actually improving your life is one thing. The other factor is, this is a hack, is that if you can show promise, if you can show ambition to the girl, even if you're homeless, you're busking on the street, you've got no money, and you smell really bad, if you can somehow project ambition and she can actually buy into your ambition, you are more likely to get a girl by just showing ambition and promise without actually having any of those core things in place. So that is a pick up type of hack that I think a lot of guys should be aware of, is showing ambition and showing promise. That's a really good hack, I think.
It's really good that you say that, and that's why I usually tell people, and good pickup coaches tell people, yes, work on the gym, work on the finances, but also work on your pickup, because there is no such thing as, oh, I will get the perfect body and then I will go and pick up, because you will never have the perfect body. There's no such thing as, oh, I will get my finances to a perfect level and then I will go do the pickup. no, you can
Mm,
never have perfect finances. Like you can always do more,
mm.
but you starting to give importance to those areas and proactively working to develop them, then creates that passion for self-development, and then that passion transfers to the girl, and then you get that, you know, promise for more value, etc. And you know, that's how
I've
you
got
can
a
actually, yeah.
I've got a really good metaphor for this, and it is in tech startups. Okay, in tech startups, just say you create an app, you can get a whole group of developers to create the best app, and then you release it. You have a release date, and that you can make the app perfect. This is the same as you making sure you have a PhD. You can bench 1,000 kilograms like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're as rich as Bill Gates, and then you release the product, but your marketing's all messed up and nobody wants to use it. But what tech startups do, instead of doing that, the best way is they create an app which is in beta. I'm sure a lot of guys have heard of beta, so it comes out in beta. And as it's out, they gather data and they constantly work on the app. It's a constant evolution as they continuously go off. So if you're really overweight, you're poor, you don't have any pickup skills, you start approaching when you're really overweight, and you work on your pickup skills while dieting, hitting the gym, working, trying to get educated. You do all of these things at once while gathering data and information while you're in the beta stage. And it's almost like a metaphor for being a beta male in beta stage.
Yeah.
Facebook was created in beta, and they gathered information, they gathered data, and they constantly built on it as it became Facebook, the god of tech. And if you're a beta male that's overweight, you can build yourself up to the god of pussy. And that's probably the best way to do it, instead of just hitting the gym and doing all those things and then releasing it. And it's like you've missed out all of the information that you could have gathered while improving yourself.
Yeah.
So I hope that's been helpful.
Yeah, I want to touch on a couple of things, and then we can finish. I also want to tell people watching this video to not take this concept of hypergamy and use it in a way, or think of it as in a way, oh, women are evil, they only care about your money, or they only care about your status. Fuck women, they're not real people, they don't care for you. No, bro, like don't use it in that way, because you're only gonna become resentful, and in the end it's not going to actually help you. We men, we do it as well, like if you're a real high value guy, if you have a lot of options on your hand, wouldn't you want the best option for yourself? If you're dating 10 women and 5 of them, let's say, are sevens, other 3 of them are eights, and then you have 2 10s that you're dating, or only 1 10, of course, if you want to settle down and have an exclusive relationship, you will want that 10. So this whole hypergamy thing, wanting the man who can offer you the most value or the most social status, etc., is not only exclusive to women. We do it as well. With us, the dynamic is different. We don't use the women to climb the social ladder or whatever. In a way we do, because we want to show, other men, oh, look, the hot girl that I'm with, like my girl is hotter than you. We use it in that way, but we still do it in our own way. So my message would be, take this knowledge and then apply it, so you can actually better your life and better your skills in dating with women, rather than using it in a way to be hateful towards women, or
Or nihilistic,
yeah,
yeah.
or nihilistic.
Mm.
Cool. Mm. Do you have anything else to say, Dave?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I wish I put this on my channel.
Well, we can.
It's a good. This is better than the other one, I think.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, I'm happy that we talked about hypergamy, because it's a thing. It's a
It's a
thing,
very important topic. It is.
and more people should know about it, and most guys should know about it, because they're not happy in their relationship, or their relationship isn't going in the way it was 6 months ago, and they don't realize it, that they actually lost value as a man. They stopped going to the gym, they stopped hustling like they were before they got in the relationship, and that's why things are not working out great, because they lost their value. And being aware of this concept actually doesn't let you stop developing, because you're aware of it. You're like, oh shit, if I stop developing, I will lose value. If I lose value, then I will lose value in front of the eyes of this girl. And if I lose value in front of the eyes of this girl, then a lot of things will happen which will not be in my benefit or be in her benefit, etc. So yeah,
100%.
thanks for sharing with us these concepts and these ideas. I hope we'll do a video in the future as well. And thank you for again getting in touch. As always, guys. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have any questions, or if you have any future recommendations, leave them in the comments. I will leave Dave's channel in the description as well. His channel's name is One Man's Life Mission. Like I said, he's a dating and pickup coach from Australia. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, the notifications, receive the notifications. And yeah, as always, your favorite Bulgarian out.
Take a look at my face, I ain't laughing. Thinks that he blasting, always about action. In the trap, make a flip, no gymnastics. Whatever you want, come grab it. Easy the general, playing with plenty tools, pull up and shit, get technical. Get spooky if you try to take mine. They shooting, these niggas don't waste time. We flossing, we also gon' take shine. See the flash on the wrist and the change time. Stay calm, don't panic. Got bitches, they all for the antics. Doing bad bitches.